agree that 30 should have been it. But he still had decent matches after WrestleMania 30, and by those matches I mean the ones with Brock Lesnar at the SummerSlam and at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view after that. So yeah, he had good matches after WrestleMania 30. I do agree also that his wrestling career should have been over at WrestleMania 30, because once you beat the Undertaker's streak, what else is there for him to do? He still has the most impressive win-loss record in WrestleMania history. The fact that he wrestled in 25 WrestleManias is amazing. I believe his record's 23-2. Yeah, I think 23-2. And then 21-0 or 20-0, whatever it was that it ended the Undertaker's streak. Still very impressive. And I think what winds up happening with a lot of these wrestlers is they go on for so long that they become a parody of themselves, like what Ric Flair was doing when he wrestled for TNA. And even right now, him basically selling himself to do these commercials and advertisements and endorsements and all that stuff, the rap video, he's just doing what he can to make money, but at the same time, slightly becoming a parody of himself. And unfortunately for The Undertaker, I believe he was doing the exact same thing, becoming a parody of himself. So with that being said, somebody had to, I mean, I'm sure that the Saudi paydays were extreme, and especially the Crown Jewel event, considering they weren't doing the Royal Rumble gimmick where now you have 50 wrestlers in that match on top of the other matches that you had there. So, with that being said, obviously this Crown Jewel payday was so great you can't pass it up. Likewise with Shawn Michaels, for him to even consider coming out of retirement to do this match, which obviously he seemed like he did not want to do leading up to the event. You could see that while he was the one that really saved the match single-handedly. He did not want to be there. He did not want to perform. And then afterward, he's like, there's no way I'm doing that again. There's a reason why some of these wrestlers like to stay retired, and Michaels was one of them. He's happy coaching at NXT. So leave it. And even with Jericho, he didn't really want to go to Saudi Arabia. For him was different conditions. But he was even mentioning on his podcast, the payday was that great. I can't pass it up. So, no. If this is indeed the end for The Undertaker, like I said, I still consider WrestleMania 33 to be his last match, and if this is definitely it, and now he's going to make a boatload of money doing these appearances, because from what I've been understanding, that the asking price for The Undertaker to do these events is absolutely astronomical, and people will pay him to do it. And you know what? Hopefully, and you know what? He deserves to make whatever he wants. And it's like a sports thing, and I heard this on Taz's morning radio show recently that they were talking about it, and I had mentioned this before his comments were said on this show, that a lot of these athletes, pro athletes, will make these ridiculous asking prices for shows. I mean, there are some of them out there that believe, oh yeah, I'm worth 10, 15 grand an appearance. And some people are stupid enough to pay it. Again, depending on the talent. But then there are others that ask like $20,000 for an appearance, autographs, this, that, because they just don't want to do it. Like The Undertaker, he probably, and I'm not going to throw it out there because in case it's not true, but if the asking number is really what it is, then to me it sounds like he just doesn't want to do it. And you know what? He shouldn't have to if he doesn't want to. If he doesn't want to go every weekend to a show, he's wrestled for over 30 freaking years. The guy deserves to not work or to not want to do anything because he has other business interests outside of pro wrestling, and he's making a great living off it. So, with that being said, you know, let him do whatever the hell he wants. He's the freaking Undertaker, and everybody understands that it is the Undertaker. That's like that sacred name in pro wrestling, like how Ric Flair was. But he's that guy who's really above most other talents. And there's an aura about him that is just, it's good. It's great. So, with that said, good. Let him do whatever the hell he wants. And I really hope that this is it because I'm tired of trying to, like Crown Jewel. I refused to watch it for a long time. And I'm sorry that I even watched it because it was really, really hard to watch. And I hope for him, for his sake, for his health, for his reputation, for his legacy, he stops for good. And I hope this is it. So, that's my take on that. Now, let's get to, I want to get to something else really quick before we go to the Elimination Chamber. Did anybody listen to the Talk is Jericho podcast with Tony Khan? It was, if you haven't already, I would highly recommend listening to it. You can find it on YouTube, or if you subscribe to Jericho's podcast, you can listen, obviously, that way. Very interesting interview. Obviously, there are times where Khan strokes Jericho's ego a little bit, which is fine. And it's amazing to me as somebody who, you know, I'm not going to lie, I questioned Khan's fandom because, you know, you heard, oh, he's been a fan his whole life, he's been a fan, you know, but when you listen to this interview, like, he's throwing out names that I've never heard of, and throwing out names of like, oh, this guy should have been bigger than what he was, or better than, you know, but he was his own worst enemy. And he was throwing out there, the one interesting story that come out with this is Khan, it was a story where he got into this school or something, and his dad had said, Shad Khan, who owns the Jaguars and Fulham FC, if you get into the school, you get whatever you want. And what was his thing of whatever he wanted to go to? ECW. It was like a convention weekend or something, and it was Jericho, I think Jericho's last 2 matches with ECW. So, obviously, through the private plane, because the Khans have been billionaires forever, they go out east, or they go to Philadelphia, or the Philly area, and they go to these shows. That was the extreme that he wanted to go see certain wrestling matches and whatnot, which is awesome. And the fact that, and there's other things that's said too about his fandom and everything that it really impressed me. It really surprised me. So he's very much like, oh, that he didn't just watch WWF or WWE and WCW. He was fans of different territories, and he was mentioning things from like Memphis that like Jericho didn't even know about, or other territories, I can't remember, Mid-South, something like that. So, and what was the other thing? And I didn't know he owned like a analytics company, which makes sense. And how he's saying like, oh yeah, analytics are going to be a big part of this. And just go listen to the interview. Very interesting. And it makes me even more interested in seeing how AEW does going forward. So, definitely a good listen. If you're out there and you want a good listen, I highly recommend the Tony Khan interview with Chris Jericho. Highly recommend it. So, there's that. Now, let's get into the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which airs tonight on the WWE Network. Here we go. And I'll make my predictions. It starts tonight at 7. Let's make the predictions here too. Do I have a pen that I can write something down? Yep, hold on. Alright, let's get this party started. All right. So, Elimination Chamber predictions or preview, if you will. I hate that word predictions because it's like everyone's claiming that they're like Nostradamus. It's like in the Twitch here. Like if you go on the panels, I don't say donation, where a lot of Twitch broadcasters say donation, donation. No, I'm not a charity. I'm working for, you know, it's a passion project of mine, doing the podcast. But I love Twitch. I will broadcast video games and stuff. I don't want to say donate to the cause or whatever. It's like working in the service industry. If I'm doing good enough, you tip, or you subscribe, or you do this, or you do that. So anyway, I went off on a tangent. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's go. Buddy Murphy, Akira Tozawa for the Cruiserweight Championship. Let's see. I really have enjoyed Buddy Murphy as the Cruiserweight Champion so far. Any match that he's put on has been absolutely phenomenal. At worst. His 4-way match at the Rumble was excellent, which of course Akira Tozawa was a part of too. Something leads me to believe that Murphy will be holding the championship until WrestleMania. They really need different talents on the cruiserweights. They really do. Like, it's the same for the most part. Gulak, Tozawa, Nice, Kendrick, which I believe he's hurt still, Gallagher, who's good, but these talents are good, but man, like it's stale. And what have they done with Kanellis? Anything? I haven't really watched too much of 205 Live lately, so I can't really comment on that. But you need either another cruiserweight classic to bring in different talents, or you need just to sign people, dude. I mean, you really need, or take some people from NXT, bring them on too. You can bring in a Tyler Bate for a match or two. You can bring in Pete Dunne for a match, just for the sake of it. I mean, I would love to see Pete Dunne versus Buddy Murphy. Are you kidding me? I would love to see that match for the Cruiserweight title and or the WWE UK Championship. I wouldn't mind seeing that. You could bring in a bunch of people that are 205 pounds and under. But don't put Finn Balor there. Don't put Finn Balor in the Cruiserweight. You push him to the moon to go to the Universal Championship, and now you're going to have him wrestle Lio Rush. Not that that was a bad match, because they had a good match on Raw. Buddy Murphy, not that it would be a bad match, but Finn Balor's bigger than the 205 Live division. Come on. You know that. I know that. Let's be realistic here. Okay. Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin, no DQ. I have a feeling that Corbin's going to do something to get himself the win over Strowman, just because it's no DQ. Let's see, Balor versus Lashley and Lio Rush. I'll go with, why not? I'm going to go Lashley and Rush just because. SmackDown tag titles. I think Miz and Shane will retain. I think that's one of the instances where a outside influence is going to hurt the Usos, especially with the DUI, or what it should have been a DUI, because if that car reeked of booze and Naomi was driving, she should have been at least checked for being under the influence. I think Rousey wins the Raw Women's Championship. The WWE Women's Tag Titles. I think out of all the teams, because Sasha was out of the match, now she's in the match, and now there's I have a feeling that it's not going to be the obvious right away. I hope it's not the obvious right away, but I honestly think it shouldn't be the obvious right away. But I'll go with Why the hell not?